Hello, not a food day today. We're going to jump into something new. And since it's almost time to start thinking about the holidays, it is October 15th. Uh, Here's something I'm going to share with everyone since I'm going to be already doing it. I have been hosting large family gatherings since 1991. And we have a big family. We have a very large extended family, and I love to host. And so I have hosted out of this little kitchen for the last 24 years. So I thought I would show you guys how you can host, self-cater a party. The last 4 parties I've kept track of, this is my sad little ratty-tatty notebooks that I've kept notes in. I didn't keep notes along the way over the years all the way back when I started doing this, but the last 4 or 5 big parties we've hosted here, we have had somewhere between 55 and 65 people in our downstairs of this house. Last year, we opened up the upstairs because we put in a pool table, and so there's room to spread more people around the house, and we have a gazebo outside, so we were able to move people out of the downstairs space. But the point is, I cook all the food and have it all laid out, and I'll share some pictures here of what the layout looks like. You can do this. So I made some coffee, and I actually made some notes, which I will try to share with you. So if you'd like to know how to host and self-cater a party for a large group of people, it is possible to do it. I'm going to be, the next month and a half or so, most of the things I'm going to be cooking are going to be foods that I make for this event. And I start cooking now. I'm going to be starting this week. So I thought I would do this video first really quick to just tell you what you're going to be seeing. And I'm going to maybe do a video on how I plan and the notes I've kept. The reason I know how to host for this many people and how much food to make and oh my gosh, how and what. The reason this isn't hard to do, you have to start early. I start buying groceries early, so you don't have a giant bill in November for all the food, and you're not cooking everything the last week. You will need an extra refrigerator, which I have, and you will need a lot of freezer space because everything that can be made ahead is going to be made ahead and put in the freezer. But the other thing that people don't seem to get when you're thinking of like, oh my gosh, how do you feed 65 people all at once? I'm not going to be pulling an all-nighter and making 400 Swedish meatballs the night before a party. The trick that I've learned, and I have kept notes so I know how many of each thing to make. Say you have 60 people. Basically, I make almost one thing for each of the head count, if that makes sense. But you are only making one recipe of each thing. So instead of making 300 Swedish meatballs, I'm going to make one batch. But I'm going to make one batch of about 40 to 45 different things. And I'll show you my list. They're very messy. But this is last year's list. Let's take a look, shall we? And what I do is to keep track of what I made and the quantity I made, how many people we had, and then what was left over, which is important to know because the next time you do it, you'll know you need less of this or more of that. This is my list. This is the menu list. I don't know if you can see it. That is the list of all the food. And I may I'll take a scan and add it to the screen here so you can really see this. But I start, this party last year was in December. I started October 26th. Excuse me for a second while I zap a cat on the counter. The kitten doesn't have any manners. Sorry. Anyway, I started this. I have my notes. I started October 26th, so I'm a little early this year, but the party is earlier this year. So, and then I also have my guest list there, so I know who's coming and how many people. And this was, let me look, we had 61 people. And I made, does it have a quantity? I'd have to look. We probably made, just looking at this list, I'd have to count it, probably 50-ish things. But the secret is, make one batch of each thing. So you're making 50 different things, oh my gosh, but it's one batch. If you start a month and a half early, say 45 days early, if you love to cook, if you don't love to cook, don't even, just go watch a different video. But if you love to cook and it's fall, I'm in the kitchen anyway, I'm home, like start now, Make one batch. And on a day when you really feel like cooking, make three different things. Make 3 batches of cookies. You're doing it anyway, right? I mean, it's fall. So make whatever it is you feel like making and put it in the freezer. But it's going to be 1 batch, maybe 2. There are some things I'll make a double batch if I know it's going to go well. There's a, it's like homemade Cheez-Its. Oh my gosh, they're so good. They're cheesy cheddar bites. And I'll share some of the recipes as we make these videos. The recipes will be included. But most of these is 1 batch, a batch and a half, maybe a double batch. So that's easy to do in a kitchenette. You can do it at home. You don't need some big whopper mixer. You don't need a bunch of special equipment. You just need freezer space for sure. So here is what we're going to do. I'm going to start making videos starting this week because I'm going to be making the rum cake that I make for the party, which is fruitcake, but not, and you will love it. So I'm going to start with that because that has to sit for about a month. This week, I'm also going to be doing some other, I'll be mixing these videos in with the things I'm also already doing. I have to juice apples and I need to make some beef stew. I'll probably make chili. So we're going to be weaving them in, but you are going to start seeing a lot of videos that are directed towards how to cater 60 people in your living room. The other trick, if you're doing this, oh, I don't have room, I could never. Our living room is not that big. I'm not going to show you, but it's not huge. We have the entryway, the office, living room, dining room. That is the laundry room and the kitchen, and we get 60 people in here easily. The trick is, I don't know why, but a lot of like the older generation, hold on, cat, get off the table. The older generation, and I'm the older generation now, I guess, but the older one than us tend to think, oh, how are you going to host all these people? Where are they going to sit? Where are you going to seat 60 people? You're not. You're going to have, we don't rent chairs. We don't rent tables because I line the tables we have, go around our dining room, gets tables all the way around the walls, and that's where all the food goes. So the whole the space in the middle is empty. We put the dining room chairs in the living room because that's extra chairs. And that's all we have. So it becomes a rotating, standing up party. And the other thing, all of the foods on this list are, you don't need a fork. So make food ahead. Start with things you can make and put in the freezer. Make 1 to 2 batches of each thing you're going to make and plan on making basically almost 1 thing per person on the guest list. And it works out because if you have 60 people and 45 different things, they're not all going to eat a bunch of each thing. And basically the way I look at it is if there was a lot of, there was jalapeno poppers and there was only 20 of them, there's 60 people. Not everyone's going to eat them. It works out. And when they're gone, they're gone. It's just like, well, those are gone, but there's still all this other stuff. It works out, I promise. You don't need to do a bunch of crazy math. Just kind of do a batch of 1 thing and then make one about 1 thing. Well, if I had 60 people, 45 to 50 dishes. So not quite, but it works out. And then make notes about how many you made and how many are left when the party is over. And that's how I've navigated what not to make next year and what went well. And maybe we should make more of that. But none of it is like a big volume of any one particular thing. So you're not sitting, you're not needing a fork. So no one's needing to sit down with like a plate. And a knife, you don't, there are no forks. Forks are not allowed. So I'll put little cocktail forks out in case somebody wants to. It's all things you can pick up and eat. So there's a plate and a napkin and a glass. The other trick with hosting this many people, oh my gosh, the dishes. No, you rent plates and you rent glasses. Don't do paper plates, please. I have such a grudge against paper plates, especially at a gathering. Don't. If you can afford to host, you can afford to rent some plates. They're nothing. I don't think I've ever paid more than maybe 100. I think 100. And last year we paid more than 100 because we got like two big like decanter things for coffee and hot chocolate to put outside. Other than that, if you're just doing plates and I get the little, not a big giant plate, like a cocktail size plate. So like a salad plate and a nice footed glass. And then we fill the back sink. That's the drink room. We fill the big back utility sink with ice and we put in everything that needs to be cold for drinks back there. We'll put eggnog on ice back there. 2-liter bottles of whatever everyone wants to drink. There'll usually be a little bit of wine, but it's not a big drinking party. So that's not really a thing. And then all the food is out here and it works. And you get clusters of people standing, eating, moving around. And that way also with not seating everyone, if you try to sit everyone down, which you can't, I mean, you could probably put 20 or 30 people in our living room sitting down, But with this, the people that want to sit are going to sit, then they're going to get up, and other people are going to sit. It's just sort of a musical chairs of sitting and not sitting. But there's all these lovely groups in all these different rooms, and you walk up and you're visit with family, and then someone will leave the group and someone else will join, and so everyone is always moving. There's a lot of movement, and it's fun. It's so much fun. And you just walk around and you have your plate and your glass and a napkin, and it's easy and fun. Everyone looks forward to it so much. I look forward to making all the food. So stay tuned. I may do a video on like my notes and the actual planning of like how, the head count. We do mail out an invite, although it is all family. So a lot of it is like, hey, the party's the 7th, but we will mail out an actual copy, so they can have an invitation that's in hand. And we have lots of parking. That's another thing that's an issue. If you have a house in the suburbs, how are you going to get 60 people in cars? We have tons of parking, so that's not an issue. So if you have extra space in a freezer, if you have extra space in a fridge, because at the end, you are going to amp up towards the end, and you're going to be making a lot of the things at the end, and I will kind of walk you through how I do what is done early and what's put in the freezer early versus what's done at the end, and what you're making in that last week. Things you can make in the last week, things you make in the last few days, things that can sit in the refrigerator for a couple of days. All of that, we'll kind of go into that as we go along. I'm not a YouTube expert, so I don't know how I'm going to do all of this, but we're just jumping in and doing it. Stay tuned for the next videos. I will probably make them into sort of episodic, but they're not specific to Christmas. This could be for any event if you're wanting to host a large gathering at your house and do all the food yourself, and you're not Martha and you don't have staff. So stay tuned. We'll be jumping into the next video soon. See you there.